too quickly, or you are not able to hear or see some of the things that I reviewed. You can replay this at about 9 p.m. on Edmodo. I will post the link, alright? Okay, so now let me move on. Again, before I begin, just a quick note. If you're chatting in the live chat for YouTube, please restrict your comments and questions to what we are going to be covering today on composition. Please don't ask any questions unrelated to composition, and please don't pass any comments to each other than what is related to the composition lesson today. Okay, if you can't hear me or see me, you're going to have to do something about it, because I'm in a quiet room, so the noise doesn't come from my side, it's going to come from yours. So please adjust your microphone, put on a set of earphones so they can hear more clearly, or move to a more quiet place. Okay, so I'm going to begin now. For the sake of everybody who's tuned in, welcome. This is Mr. Pang's class on summary of writing techniques, and I'm going to be summarizing all of the techniques that we've learned so far and putting it together into one composition. And today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to review the 9 techniques that are very common in composition writing to make your composition more effective. And then I'm going to put it together in an actual composition so you can see how it is being used practically, all right? Not just in theory, but in practice, how you put it all together. Okay, so without further ado, let's move on to the 9 techniques of writing. At any point in time, if you have a question about any of the techniques, just post your question either on Edmodo, Class Dojo, or the live chat window that you have open. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and subscribe and then click on the bell icon so that you get notified when more videos get posted. Okay, so the 9 techniques of writing. Especially those of you in my 4A class, you will be very, very knowledgeable of these 9. The latest one we covered was A positive. Remember, we did the activity where we sat together in groups and then we tried to extend the description of the characters we chose. Some of you wrote about Harry Potter, some of you wrote about Mr. Pang, some of you wrote about Mrs. Tan, and we tried to put in additional information using the A positives, the 2 commas, remember? So that was the last technique we learned. But before A positives, there were 8 other techniques. And today, I'm going to review all 8 of these techniques with you. And if you have any questions, please just post it on any of the 3 areas I mentioned earlier, Class Dojo, Edmodo, or the live chat. Okay, now let's move on. So first technique, all right, beginning with the subordinate clause. Now this is one of the first techniques that we learned, okay? We learned about beginning with the subordinate clause. Guys, can you please not hi each other? The important thing is to focus on the lesson and not to be chatting with each other on the chat window, all right? So once you're in, just pay attention to the lesson. There's no need to identify yourselves to each other, because then you'll be distracting everybody else from the lesson that is going to go about, all right? So please focus on the lesson. Okay, right. So we are talking about beginning with a subordinate clause. That was the very first writing strategy. If you remember, we used connectors like although. So although he was famished, he resisted the sugar-coated cake, right? Though he was hungry, he stopped himself from eating that sugary donut. So we used connectors like although, even though, however, right? So however famished he was, he refused to eat the sugary donut, all right? So we use connectors, we create a subordinate clause, and we use the subordinate clause to begin the sentence instead of beginning the sentence with a subject like he resisted the sugar-coated cake although he was famished, right? So to make it more interesting, I move the subordinate clause to the front. So you can see here, although appears in front instead of at the back, okay? So this is one way that we make our sentences more interesting when we're writing a composition. We move it around, we shift the order so that it looks different and more interesting. Okay, so that's the first lesson. We talked about subordinate clauses. So I want you to remember this, subordinate clauses, okay? Secondly, we talked about starting sentences with dialogue, all right? Or with saying verbs, okay? So things like, are you ready? Mother asked. 恭喜发财, I shouted gleefully. Hey, what are you doing? mother shouted at the snatched thief, right? So these are all examples of spoken sentences that start your paragraph or start your story. Okay, this is a very good way to draw the reader into your story with dialogue, right? So when you use dialogue, "Are you ready?" mother asked, or "恭喜发财," I shouted gleefully. You draw your readers into the story and you make them a part of it, right? Because it's live. It's as if they are hearing with their own ears what your character is saying. In this case, mother is saying, "Are you ready?" Okay, so along with the dialogue, there's usually a saying verb, right? And the saying verb is, in this case, asked. "Are you ready?" mother asked. And we can bring in many different kinds of saying verbs, right? We can say, for example, "Hey, stop there!" Father yelled. Or, "Hey, you, come here!" The teacher bellowed, right? So these are all saying verbs that add color to my story, okay? So hello, hi, welcome everybody, Cheryl, Megan, Jaden, welcome to the live stream. I'm right in the middle. If you've just joined in, I'm talking about the 9 different techniques that make our writing better. The first technique we talked about was subordinate clauses, beginning with the connector although, though, however. Now I'm on to my second one, which is about using dialogue, spoken sentences, saying verbs, okay? So you can use a question, you can use an exclamation, you can use a statement, right? So the example I was just quoting would be like, "Hey, you, come here!" The teacher bellowed at the naughty students, okay? So the teacher is the subject who's saying the statement, "Hey, you, come here!" exclamation mark, and the saying verb is bellowed, right? Bellowed. So these are very good ways to draw your readers into the story, into what's happening in your composition. Good way to add more drama as well, okay? So remember, when we do oral, we always focus on the dialogue, right? And I tell you who is saying that dialogue. What does the person sound like? It's the same here in composition. When you have a person saying something, you have to also use a saying verb to tell your reader how the person is saying it. So, "Hey, you, come here!" the angry teacher bellowed would be different from, "Hey, you, come here!" Alan whispered to the little boy, right? Not wanting to disturb the robbers, for example. Okay, so the saying verb whispered and the saying verb bellowed is very different, and it changes the feeling of your story. So second lesson was spoken sentence or dialogue with saying verbs, okay? So big difference, that's right, Martin, it's a very big difference. So first one, subordinate clauses. Second one, saying verbs. Let's move on to the third one now. Okay, so the third one is beginning your sentence with a participle. And you'll remember there's the past participle and there's the present participle, right? So in this case, if you look at the participle phrase, okay, throwing off his apron and hat, the furious chef stopped out of the kitchen. Okay, now can you see throwing? Throwing is a participle. It's a present participle. Throwing off his apron and hat, the furious chef stopped out of the kitchen. So the present participle always has an ing, right? So throwing off his apron and hat, throwing it off, all right? Jumping out of his seat, Alan yelled out the answer. So jumping out of his seat, Alan yelled out the answer. Jumping is the participle in this case, the present participle. But there's also the past participle. Great, glad that you understand. Enraged, the chef stopped out of the kitchen. So you can see the past participle takes on an ed form, right, in the past form. Enraged, the chef stopped out of the kitchen, right? Angry, the man yelled out his defiance. Angry, right? Angered, sorry, not angry. Angered, the man yelled out his defiance, right? Enraged, the chef stopped out of the kitchen. So this is yet another way to add variety to your sentence, to make it more interesting by putting in a present or a past participle. What this does, as you can see, is that it makes the action the front and center of your sentence, right? The action becomes the highlight. Throwing off his apron and hat, or enraged, right? The chef stopped out of the kitchen. that puts the spotlight, the focus in the sentence on the action and not on the subject, not the chef, but on his act of throwing off his apron and hat. So this technique helps us to highlight the action that is happening, all right? Yeah. So the past participle, in this case, Jasin, is enraged, all right? It's in the past. And throwing is the present participle, all right? Cheryl, don't worry about it. This is all going to be captured in the video. You can review this and review this and review this many times over. And this PowerPoint slide will also be available to you for download, okay? So don't worry about it. If you're not sure, you can't remember, revisit this video again and watch it one more time, all right? So this is the third technique. So again, I'm going to review. Technique number 1, subordinate clauses. Although, even though, however. Technique number 2, spoken sentence, saying verbs, all right, using dialogue at the beginning of sentences. That's right. Technique number 3, beginning with a participle, right? So throwing, jumping, singing, dancing, right? All these are present participles that are commonly used to start a sentence. Okay, great. All right, so that's strategy or technique number 3, beginning with a participle. All right, I'm going to stop here for a moment and I'm going to open up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? All right, I'm going to type over here a sample of beginning with a participle. All right, so let's see. Singing loudly, the children of the choir streamed into the hall. Okay, so that's an example in the live chat of another present participle starting a sentence. Singing loudly, the children of the choir streamed into the hall, right? Or jumping with glee, the students celebrated their good results at the end of the year. I hope this will be true for all of you. Okay, jumping with glee, the students celebrated their good results at the end of the year. Okay, right, good. Nobody has any questions? Everybody is all right? Let me just very quickly see. Okay, all right. Wonderful, great, glad to hear that. Okay, what about all of you who are listening, try to construct a sentence beginning with a present participle, an ing participle. Yes, that's right, Georgina, perfect. I was going to say that later, but thanks for bringing it up. The subordinate clause is the clause, a sentence that cannot stand by itself, and a main clause is a sentence that can stand on its own. Wonderful, yes, that's right. Good. Okay, so can we all now construct a sentence beginning with a present participle, meaning a verb with ing? Okay, let's start a sentence. I gave you a sentence earlier, singing loudly, the children of the choir streamed in the hall. Now why don't you try to build one? I'll just see if I can wait for all of you to construct your sentences. Okay, while you are doing that, let me just move on to the next one. All right, okay, thank you. Dancing crazily, the students jumped all around. Wonderful. That is a good sentence. Hi, John, welcome. Storming into that room, Tom battled it. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Okay. Okay, perfect. Cheryl, what you have used is not a participle, it's a gerund. Remember, it's a noun. What was Cheryl's dream? Cheryl's dream was dancing. So you're not using a participle here, you're using a gerund, right? This is a noun. So don't use a gerund, use a participle. So if I could use the same word dancing, this is what I would say. Dancing to the tune of the song, The children laughed merrily. Okay, there you go. Alright, so dancing to the tune of the song, the children laughed merrily. Yeah, very good. Well done, Chun Hong. Flinging the frisbee to Joe, Ellen screamed delightfully. Perfect. Okay, right, Cheryl, did you get the difference between your sentence and my sentence? Dancing was Cheryl's dream. Dancing is something, it's a gerund. I don't want that. I want a participle. Dancing to the tune of the song, right? They were dancing, it's an action. The children laughed merrily. Great, okay. Good that this came out so you don't make that mistake. Okay, everybody, just so that you remember, a gerund is a noun and a participle is a verb. Okay, they function very differently. A gerund is something and a participle is an action. Okay, Siddharth? Okay, running quickly, the runner won the race with ease. Okay, Siddharth, running quickly. Why? Because quickly is an adverb that modifies the verb running. Okay, the runner won the race. Okay, I would correct it that way. I wouldn't use running fast because fast is an adjective. And adjectives don't describe verbs, they describe nouns. That's right. Okay, so running quickly, ly, right? Running quickly, the adverb quickly describes running. The runner won the race. Okay, running across the field, Alan called to his teammate. Perfect, John. Well done. Swimming quickly, Ziting, swimming quickly. Again, fast is an adjective, not an adverb. Swimming quickly, John won the swimming competition. All right, same error as Siddharth. All right, so you must be alert. I just corrected Siddharth. Don't make the same mistake. Ziting, okay? Good, Siddharth. I hope you understand. All right, very good. That's right. Won, not win. Okay, so swimming quickly. John won the swimming competition in the past tense. Okay, you can't use the simple present tense here because simple present tense is used only for facts and habits. Yes, that's right, Nicole. All right, so quick summary. L1, or the first technique, we talked about subordinate clauses. All right, however, although, even though, and subordinate clauses are clauses that cannot stand by themselves. Main clauses are clauses that can. All right. L2, we talked about dialogue and saying verbs. All right. Bellowed versus whispered. Right. And then the open and close inverted commas. L3, we talked about using participles. Okay. And we have been kind of focusing on the ing participle, the present participle. So maybe we'll just focus on that. We won't go too much into the past participles. Anyway, present participles are a lot more common when we're using it in our compositions, okay? So now, L4, we are going to talk about show not tell, which you are all so familiar with, right? Okay, show not tell is huge. It can cover every part of your composition. In any area that requires you to describe something, show not tell, okay? Okay, Akshaya, thank you. Acting quickly, the children made a surprise cake before their mother came home. Wonderful. Good job. Okay, very good. Running slowly, Mary lost the race. Great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, hi Ingrid, welcome. All right, if you just joined us, we are kind of a quarter of the way through the video. We have been talking about the 9 techniques of composition writing. The first technique was using subordinate clauses. The second technique was using dialogue. The third technique was using participles. And the last technique that we're talking about right now, or not the last one, but the next one, is show not tell. You're all very familiar with it. Take a look at the PowerPoint slide right below here, okay? Yep, right below here. You'll be able to see that show not tell is very often about describing rather than telling your reader. So instead of saying that he looked furious, right, as you can see in the example down there, instead of saying he looked furious, I describe how he looks, right? So his mouth was clenched tightly, his face was flushed, his veins were bulging, right? And then he bellowed from where he stood. All these show me that this person is furious. Show, not tell. Okay, right? So don't worry. As I've given you an example. Hi Martin, welcome. Okay. Right, very good. Hi Jensis, welcome. Okay. Again, like I said, if you're not sure how to do show not tell, this is an example that should show you. Instead of saying that I noticed that he looked furious, I don't use the word furious because furious is telling. I don't want to tell, I want to show. So as I approached the man, I noticed his mouth was clenched tightly, his face was flushed, it was red, and his veins were bulging, right? You! He bellowed from where he stood. So mouth clenched tightly, face flushed, veins bulging, bellow, all these are clues that show me this person is angry. And then my reaction, I was frightened. Now again, how do I not tell the reader that I'm frightened, but show the reader that I'm frightened? Okay, very simple. My heart began to pound in my chest. I was hyperventilating. My palms turned sweaty with fear as my mind flashed through the scenes of what he was about to do to me. So what are the clues that show you that I'm frightened? Heart pounding in my chest, hyperventilating, palms sweaty with fear, right? So again, these are clues that show the reader that your character is feeling fear. Fear. Exactly, that's right. So we only show, we don't tell. We don't say, I was frightened. He was furious, right? I show the reader. And when I do this, my writing becomes a lot more interesting because I'm pulling my reader in to the story and helping my reader guess what my character is feeling rather than telling him outright. Okay? It's kind of like when you're doing a math quiz or a question. I'm sure you don't want the teacher to, all right, the answer is 3 before you've had a chance to work it out, right? You feel really frustrated. So that's the same idea. When you're writing a story, invite the reader to make guesses and to make very informed guesses about how your characters are feeling, what's going through their minds, and show not tell is a very powerful technique that allows you to do just that. Yes. Dramatic examples do give you more marks, definitely, right? Hyperventilating, like I was demonstrating just now, means to breathe very quickly. Did you see me doing that just now, Cheryl? Right? So hyperventilating means to breathe very quickly. All right? So I hope this slide gives you an idea about what it means to do show not tell. But again, later on, when I'm writing the model composition, you'll be able to see all these strategies at work. Well, most of them. I'll try to incorporate all of them when I'm writing the composition later, right in front of you over here, okay? But right now, I thought it'd be good if we reviewed all the strategies. So later, when I use the strategies in my story writing, you'll be able to follow along with me. You'll know what I mean when I say subordinate clause, or what I mean when I say adverb, or what I mean when I say dialogue, right? So it's all going to be covered here. Okay, yes, thank you. All right, wonderful. So at this point, I've covered almost half of all of the strategies. Is anybody here burning up with a question that you want to ask? Okay, very good. Thank you. Well done. Okay, everybody's helping everybody else. That's wonderful, kids. Please keep it up. Yeah, that's good, Siddharth. Thank you. You do feel lightheaded after you hyperventilate. It's not a good thing to do. Don't do it, right? Yeah, it's usually what happens when you're really very frightened, okay? Okay, so this is show not tell. And a very quick review for those of you who have just joined us. We've covered 4. So we begin with beginning with a subordinate clause, all right? So that's an example right there. Although he was famished, however famished he was, even though he was famished. So a connector usually begins a subordinate clause, right? And this is a subordinate clause, it cannot stand by itself. He resisted a sugar-coated cake, this is the main clause, it can stand by itself. So beginning with subordinate clause, beginning with a spoken sentence, right? Saying verb, right? Hello everyone, Josiah, hi, welcome. We're midway through, I'm just reviewing the 9 writing techniques that we've learned this year and putting it together into a composition. So join in quickly, follow along. So we talked about saying verbs, then we went into beginning with a participle, right? And I talked about using a participle like throwing, jumping, singing, swimming, all these are participles. And be careful that you don't use a gerund by mistake. A gerund is a noun, a participle is still a verb, okay? And then we're here right now at show not tell, okay? Where we describe and we give clues rather than telling the reader what my character is feeling. So, furious, mouth clenched tight, face flushed, veins bulging, bellow. Frightened, heart began to pound in my chest, hyperventilating, palms turned sweaty with fear. Mind flashed through scenes of what he was about to do. Okay? So, show not tell. Let me move on now to the next one. Okay? So, next one, let's see. Thought facts. Okay, yes, Josiah, you can download these slides from Edmodo. Okay, you can go ahead and do it right now, no worries, and come back and join us again. Okay, so the fifth technique that we learned this year was to use thought tags, right? So thought tags simply mean he thought, or she thought, or they thought. So an example here would be, Matthew stared at the shiny car. Wow, it's beautiful, he thought, right? I want it. Now notice here that there is no dialogue, right? There is no open and close inverted commas. Why? Because anything that takes place in your head is not dialogue, it's a thought. So a thought can simply be written down without the open and close inverted commas, okay? Without the open and close inverted commas. So in this case, Matthew stared at the shiny car. What was he thinking? It's beautiful, comma, he thought. I want it, right? Can you hear Matthew's desire for the car, right? So his thought is, it's beautiful, comma, he thought, I want it. Or in the second example, James flashed a wide smile and said, hey, do you have $100 with you now? I'll pay you back. Liar, Roger thought. Where's the $50 you still owe me? So Roger is thinking in his mind as James is asking him for the $100. Liar, where's the $50 you still owe me? So liar, comma, Roger thought, where's the $50 you still owe me? Okay? All right, wonderful. Any questions so far? So we're at lesson 5, more than halfway through, just a few more, and we can get started on the writing, okay? So thought tags. Again, kids, don't get overwhelmed. All of these strategies I've just taught you, I've collated in the slides. You can download it from Edmodo. I'm recording this video right now. And at this point in time, if you're worried that you can't remember, you can always review this video, review it. Repetition. The key is repetition. The more you repeat, the more you watch it, the more it's going to go into your head and become a part of your writing style. So don't be afraid to watch and rewatch and zoom in on certain parts of this video. I'll tag each strategy to a time signature so you know where to go in the video to review that particular strategy. All right, so no worries. Okay, so yeah, right. So how can you show the marker that it is a thought? Well, very simple. It's using simply the words he thought or she thought. So let me give you another example. Megan stared at the candy floss. I want it, she thought. It looks delicious. All right, yeah, there you go. Okay, so in this case, your character is Megan, and the thought tag is she thought. If your character is John, then your thought tag would be he thought. If your character is the children, then your thought tag would be they thought. Okay? So it's very simple. Just tag on he thought, she thought, they thought, we thought at the end of your thought to show that it's a thought. Simple as that. Alright? So Mr. Pang stared at the bicycle in the window. Wow, it's so beautiful, he thought. I want to buy it someday. Alright? So that's another example of a thought tag. It's very simple, and it makes the thoughts of your character visible to the reader. Okay, so this is one way to kind of like open up the mind of your character. Sorry if that sounds kind of gross, but open up the mind of your character so that your readers can see into their thoughts and understand what's going through their minds. Okay? So that's the power of a thought tag. Thought tags and dialogue very often come together, right? You can have someone saying something and then someone thinking about what that person is saying. Yeah, like what happens in example 2, right? You can see in example 2 over here that James is saying something and Roger is thinking but not saying it out, thinking. He didn't call James a liar, but he thought that James was a liar. Okay. Is it okay to write a full stop before he thought, they thought? Okay, so usually the thought tag happens in between two thoughts. So I wanted, comma, she thought, full stop, it looks delicious. Right? Usually that's the format to follow. I think that would be the safe format to follow. Okay. Do thought tags gain more marks? Well, it is a technique to make your story more interesting. So in a way, yeah, I think it would. Okay. Cheryl, please don't make comments that are not relevant to the video. I'm not sure how science plays into the topic that we are talking today on conversation and on thought tags and on composition, okay? All right, you're welcome, Jensis. Right, maybe Cheryl can clarify what's going on. Okay. All right, Siddharth. I'm in the process of introducing all these different techniques. These techniques themselves will make your story more interesting and dramatic, okay? The vocabulary words that you have in your vocabulary lists, those are words that are very good to include in. The helping words that are provided for you in each composition, those can actually be used to make your composition more interesting. But right now, let's focus on these 9 different techniques, okay? Okay, Megan, why is it that the slides, the thoughts are slanted? Well, it's just so that you can see that it's a thought. You don't have to do this in your writing, okay? It's just so that it's more obvious to you when you're reading the slides, okay? There's no meaning to it. It's all the same. That's just how you write it. You want to write something, write that someone is thinking something. Nicole, you do not need to write anything. I don't quite understand your question, Nicole. Basically, I think what you mean is, do you include the open and close inverted commas? No, you don't use the open and close inverted commas. You write it without the open and close inverted commas. You're not saying something, you're thinking. So there's no need for the open and close inverted commas. You simply write in this form, in the form that I've just demonstrated to you. Okay? All right, let's move on to the next strategy. Okay, next, beginning with an adverb, right? This is pretty simple. I think you all know and are already doing it. It's the ly form of the adverb. Quickly, John darted from the savage dog. Angrily, Alan bellowed and threw his computer across the room. Timidly, Alex peered out from behind the door at his new classmates. So adverbs, remember, actually add to the verb. So how did John dart away from the savage dog? Quickly. How did Alan bellow? Angrily. How did Alex peep from behind the door? Timidly. Okay, so these are adverbs. They add beautiful detail to your actions. So adverbs are very powerful. Always try to put them into your stories consciously so that you're describing the manner in which the action takes place. Okay? I would say about 150, 200 words would be a safe number, all right? Yeah. Yes, you can replace savage with fierce, okay? But savage is a better word than fierce. Savage is a higher level of vocabulary. I wouldn't say 350 during your exam, Cheryl, because you have limited time, okay? So about 250 is actually quite a good number, all right? But if, of course, you have time, by all means, go ahead. But remember, as you're writing, be careful that you don't make mistakes, because sometimes you write really long compositions and you have many mistakes, and that takes away from your marks as well, okay? Savage means like really fierce, very fierce, okay? All right, so that's technique number 6, beginning with an adverb. Any questions? Yep, that's right. That's what savage means. Okay, good. Then let me move on. Starting with a question is the next one. No worries. Jyotsna? Yes. The short answer is yes. Using more advanced vocabulary will put you in a higher language score. Okay, so next L or technique 7, starting with a question. Okay, take a look at this. This is something that we did relatively recently when we were talking about the robbery, right? So who was that figure skulking in the bushes? Okay, when had he appeared in front of me? I took a step back. Okay, so later on I will demonstrate how to put in a question that will add to how dramatic your story becomes. Okay, so starting with a question is another technique. All right, beginning with a sound, this is really familiar. We all know this, so I won't spend too much time here. Enough said, right? And finally, this was what we just covered. We had a fun activity. We worked on our Vanguard sheets, remember? We were putting A positive information about our characters, okay? I'm sorry, Megan, stifle means to stop or to prevent. So you stifle a yawn. You stop a yawn from coming out, okay? Was it from an earlier? Okay, yeah, stifle a giggle, right? Yeah, stifle means to stop something. So try to stop himself from giggling, okay? Yep, glad that you asked that question. So again, A positive is the last strategy. And here we go. We are done with the 9 strategies, okay? So let me summarize again, okay? We begin with L1, which was a subordinate clause, right? So we started with subordinate clauses. That was the first one. Okay, let's see if I can just bring everything up again. All right, we began with subordinate clauses. Can we write what was that loud bang? He thought. Yes, absolutely. Yes, you could, right? You could start with that. Starting with a question, yeah, possible. So beginning with subordinate clauses, that's the first one. Starting with a spoken sentence or saying verbs, that's the second one. Beginning with a participle, that's the third one. Show not tell, that's the fourth one. Thought facts, that's the fifth one. Adverbs, that's the sixth one. Questions, that's the seventh one. Beginning with a sound, that's the eighth one. And A positives, that's the ninth one. Okay? Right. Wonderful. Okay, let's see. The placement of the thought. Okay, Jyotsna, in that case, I would rephrase it as this. What was that? Oh, sorry. Typing in the wrong place. Okay, let's see. What was that loud bang? Alan wondered aloud to himself. Okay, so I think this would be a better way to phrase that. Yeah, okay, so starting with the sound is onomatopoeia, right? Cheryl, onomatopoeia is starting with the sound, right? I think that was L8, okay. Which do I think is the strongest strategy? There is no stronger strategy, I would say, Jyotsna. It's the strategy that suits the story you're writing, okay? So if you're writing an action-packed story, you might be using a lot of show not tell. You might be using a lot of, adverbs, right? Because you have a lot of verbs that you want to describe. If you're writing kind of like a more sad or moving story, then you might be using a lot more dialogue. You might be using a lot of thought. Okay, so it really depends. Okay, it really depends. John, will you get more marks if you use the strategies or just a few? Well, I would say if you use a few strategies really well, that will really put you in a very strong position. However, of course, if you can use more strategies and use them all well, wow, that would be the best, right? Yeah. Yeah, show not tell, starting with the question, these are all very good strategies to use. So right now, I thought it would be beneficial if I could very quickly just show you an example of how I'm going to combine many of these strategies together. I won't have time to write the entire story, but I'll kind of get started and show you my thought process, like how, if I were a student, I would put together a story that would put me in the top band, maybe between 18 to 20 out of 20. Yes, correct. So it's about using them correctly, okay? So before I begin, let me just get started by putting up the question, okay? So this is the question. I'm not really sure if you were able to download this. Some of you were saying you had some trouble, okay? So this is the question. No, actually, I think I have the question right about on this slide. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, okay? So let's take a look at this, all right? Yes, being more specific, yeah, definitely, okay? You must use more than one strategy in one composition, actually, Megan. Yeah, that's the point of this video, right? I'm trying to show you how all these strategies can come together into one composition, okay? You really shouldn't only use one strategy. All these strategies can be used in one composition. We put them all together, okay? So write a composition of at least 120 words, okay? But remember, I was saying about 250 would be a good number, about an unexpected incident. So everybody, it's an unexpected incident. Can you see I put this in red? So this is my theme. It has to be unexpected, right? It can't be something that I'm expecting will happen. If I write an expected incident, then I will fail this composition. So it's an unexpected incident which took place at your block. And again, where did it take place? It took place at my block. So this means that I am the character in this story. Me, I'm the character, all right? And it takes place in my block. Now, be very careful here, Ziting, because you must follow the picture. Does any of the pictures show a fire? Okay, it's all right, no worries. Just look at the video. Don't worry about the Microsoft Word document. Everybody focus. Hi, Javier. Everybody focus on this. Oh, brother and sister are here. Okay, so look at the PowerPoint slide I'm showing to you right now. Okay, the keywords here are an unexpected incident. It cannot be expected, and at your block. It must be at your block. All right. Yes, Josiah, it's about something that falls from the window. Okay, and I'm going to write a story now using all three of the pictures. But remember, during your exams, there's no need to use all three. One or two pictures is sufficient, okay? But I'm going to use all three just so that I can put all the strategies together into the story, and you can see how I use most of these strategies as I'm writing. Bonus points if you can see the strategies as I'm writing it and like write it in the chat panel over here so I can see that you know that this is what's happening, okay? Right, so this topic is an unexpected incident, all right? Can you see? It's highlighted in red. An unexpected incident, okay? At your block, all right? Yeah, so it is, I am the character, it happens in my block, it's unexpected, and it involves these pictures, okay? Are you all ready? Okay, yes, you could, Cheryl, but I'm going to use the picture of the broken eggs, okay? And the window, and the little girl. So I'm going to use all three pictures to write my story. Okay, are you all ready? Okay, I'm going to write it now. Right, now you should see an empty Word document here. I'm going to increase it so that the size of it so that you guys can see very clearly as I'm typing. Okay, right, I'm going to begin. No, John, you don't get more marks if you use more pictures, but you must follow the theme. It is an unexpected incident, and it must be a big incident, or rather, it must be either a humorous incident or a serious enough incident, okay? Yep. Yeah, okay, Akshaya, correct. So we must follow the question. If the question is telling us an unexpected incident and it's happening at your block, you must follow it, okay? So I'm going to begin. Let's see, right? All right. Okay, so anyone tell me what I have begun with? Did y'all notice what was the first strategy I started my composition with? Yes, you're welcome, Josiah. Yes, very good. So here, this entire section is dialogue, right? And this is my saying verb, mother yell, okay? Can y'all think of, yes, very good, well done, dialogue. So can y'all think of another saying verb I could use besides yell? Yes, Ingrid, good job. Yeah, good job, everybody, dialogue. Thank you, John, Ashton. Okay, no worries. D-I-A-L-O-G-U-E. D-I-A-L-O-G-U-E. Okay, hollered. Very good. I think I prefer hollered. So I'm going to change this to hollered from the kitchen. Right? Right? I mumbled in protest and prepared to head down to the provision shop. At the next block. The merciless sun beat down on me, and as I squinted in the glaring heat, although I was exhausted, I knew I had to run the errand, or mother would nag at me again. Is mumble the same verb? Yes, it is. Okay. Scream it at the top of the lungs? Very possible. Wonderful. Yes, very good. Yeah, Nicole, you can see that it's going to lead to a problem. But before that, did you notice the other strategy I used? Did you notice that there was another strategy that I've used? Oh, thank you for spotting that. Heat was spelled wrongly. Very good. Anyone can tell me which strategy I used? So I began, yay! Well done, good job. Subordinate clause, okay? Although I was exhausted, right? So here is my subordinate clause. Although I was exhausted. Show not tell. Did I use show not tell? Anybody tell me what I'm trying to show? Yeah, you could be correct. Yes. Show not tell. Where is show not tell? Anyone tell me where I use show not tell? Yeah, very good. Although, yes, subordinate clause. Some of you mentioned show not tell, like Jansis, Akshaya, who was it? Chun Hong, is it? Yeah, okay. Yes, that's right. So I used things like merciless sun, beat down on me. Okay, I talked about the glaring heat. Okay, yeah. So I'm actually showing that it was a hot day. Wonderful. Okay, so instead of saying it was a hot day, I talked about the sun beating down on me. I squinted, right? When it's really very glaring, your eyes get close to slits, right? You're squinting because it's so bright, and then it's glaring, it's hot, beautiful. Okay, so can you see that in just one short introductory paragraph, I have used 3 different strategies? Again, subordinate clause, dialogue, show not tell. Okay, errand is kind of like when you are helping someone do something. Okay, I was more trying to show that it was hot, Georgetown. It was more like it was hot. Okay, so can you all see? I can pack just in one paragraph three strategies. Isn't that awesome? And as a teacher, when I'm marking your work and I'm looking at your paragraph and I'm going, wow, in one paragraph, this child has managed to pack in 3 effective strategies and they've used it so well. Now, right from the introduction, I already have a very positive impression of you. Do you think you're going to get a good mark? Absolutely, right? Okay, because you set a very good first impression. Okay? Yes, Aaron is helping someone to do something. Okay, wonderful. Now let's move on. This is awesome, right? It's not that difficult. It's something that you can all do. Okay? Everybody can do this. It's not that difficult. These are very, very simple words to use. Okay? Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, bye, Jia-en. Catch up with the repeat telecast. Okay, so let's move on. It will end pretty soon, all right? Oh, you guys need to go? Okay, no worries. Tune in when the video is done. Sweltering sun, yes, you can. All right, bye. Okay, I'll be finished in a couple of minutes as well, okay? So let's move on. So far, let's take a very quick note. I think it's your connection, my dear Sishan. It's not my computer. It's very clear. Okay, right. So on the first paragraph, we've talked about dialogue. We've used saying verbs. We've talked about show not tell, the heat of the sun, and we've used the subordinate clause although. All right, I was exhausted. So the next paragraph, I'm going to go into what happens to me as I step out of my void deck. Right? Remember, this incident happens at my void deck. All right, so I'm going to go into the problem that happens. Okay. All right. Okay, let me make it a bit bigger so you can all see more clearly. Yep, I think that should be fine. Okay, move it a little. Yeah, okay, that should be all right. Okay. Okay, you could say it was a humid day. Yes, definitely. Humid brings back bad memories. Okay, anyways, let's move on. All right, let's see. Okay, shading my head with the book in my hand, I braved the awful heat and maybe not throdded, and made my way tortuously towards the provision shop. What was only a few meters felt like miles in the merciless heat of the August sun. Okay. Trotted. Oh well. I was going to use the word trotted. Trotted means to walk in a very tired and weary manner. Okay, but I changed it. So I said made my way tortuously. Oh, so it's like I'm being tortured by the heat, right? Okay. Shading my head with the book. No, it's with the book. It's the book in my hand, not a book, right? It's the book in my hand. It's that specific book, right? So shading my head with the book in my hand, I braved. No, meters is spelled correctly. Okay, your spelling is American spelling. This is the British spelling. It's correct. Okay, METRES. It is absolutely correct. Okay. Yeah, August sun, because in Singapore, August is really a hot month, right? So I used the August to tell my reader that this is happening in August. Okay? So again, can you tell me what strategy I have just used at the very beginning of my paragraph? Anyone? June as well, very good. Okay, so June. John, I don't need to say that Ah Beng has a book. I can just mention it right here. There's nothing wrong with what I'm writing, okay? Participle, very good. So shading my head, right? So I'm going to color this a different color. Yeah, shading my head. Okay? Shading my head with the book in my hand, I braved the awful heat and made my way tortuously towards the provision shop. What was only a few meters felt like miles in a merciless heat. So this entire thing is actually show not tell, right? I'm not telling you that it felt like it was a very long journey, okay? But actually in this case, I'm showing you that I feel like just a few meters is almost like miles. Yeah, well spotted, Megan. I did use the word merciless twice. Maybe I should replace it with a different word. Anybody wants to replace merciless heat with a different word? Yes, Josiah, you can use the word summer sun, but in Singapore there's no 4 seasons, so you wouldn't be able to say summer because we don't have summer here. Scorching sun, yay, very good. So what was only a few meters felt like miles in the scorching heat. Wonderful. Blazing, wonderful. These are all possible. Meter is not spelled wrongly, Jia En. Meter is spelled M-E-T-R-E-S. Okay. Murderers, yeah, that's very good. See, you guys are fantastic. You're coming up with really good words, okay? Very good. So maybe, yeah, I'll change it to murderous, okay? In a murderous heat of the June sun. Oh, wonderful. All right, so show not tell, wonderful. Can I now insert an adjective? I'm sorry, an adverb. Can I start my next sentence? Oh no, Dragonfire is too fantasy, all right? So we don't want this to go into fantasy, we want this to be real. So I'm gonna put in a few more things and then I'm gonna end the video shortly, okay? But I just wanted to use as many strategies as possible. So what was only a few meters felt like miles in the murderous heat of the June sun? Let's start the next sentence with an adverb. I don't know, George, and now's not the time to answer that question, okay? Okay, let's see. Blazing is acceptable too, yes, John. Quick, think of an adverb. Let's see. Nope, thermogenic's not correct. All right, I'm just gonna go on and then I'll write and then we will see what will come out of that, okay? I'll just develop the story. Okay, let's see. Crack. An odd sound came to my ear. Moments later, I felt something slimy oozing down my arm from my book. Weird, yeah, possible, okay. To my horror, an egg had landed on my precious Harry Potter limited edition book. Furiously, I glared upwards, looking for the source. The egg. Nope, I haven't reached the shop yet. I'm still encountering this problem, right? In fact, I may not reach the shop because this happens before I get to the shop. Okay, now, take a look. Can you notice anything? What were the strategies I used? Anyone? Exactly, because it's supposed to happen at my block, right? Anyone? What happened? What are the strategies that I used? There are two actually, at least. Okay, at least 2 more strategies I've used here. Anyone? Onomatopoeia, very good, starting with a sound. What's the sound? What's the sound? Yes, very good, show not tell. Okay, show not tell. Okay, so very quickly, because we are running short of time, I'll identify. So here I have my sound, crack, right? Crack is the sound. Okay. No, it doesn't come from the bird. Crack is the sound. An odd sound came to my ear. All right. So that's onomatopoeia, or starting with a sound. Moments later, I felt something slimy oozing down my arm from my book. To my horror. Now, did you all notice that to my horror is actually a subordinate clause? Okay, it's actually a subordinate clause. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this green. Although I was exhausted, subordinate clause. To my horror, subordinate clause. Okay, and then had landed on my precious Harry Potter limited edition book. Furiously, right? Did you see this is an adverb? Adverb. Adverb. Can you all see this is an adverb? Okay, furiously. I glared upwards, looking for the source of the egg. Right? So again, if you look at the second paragraph, okay, show not tell. Something slimy oozing down my arm, perhaps that could be show not tell, yes. Okay. There is no A positives, my dears, no A positives, unless you can tell me where it is that I missed. It's additional information, right? So no, there's no A positives yet, okay? But let me summarize very quickly. So far, what are some of the strategies I've used? I've used dialogue, all right? Did you see? I've used show not tell multiple times throughout the paragraphs. Okay, no, my dear Georgina, furiously I glared upwards. These are actions, right? Show not, not A positives. A positives are additional information in the 2 commas that tells you more about a subject, right? So the lion with a big mane, for example, that's A positives. This is not A positives, okay? So show not tell, onomatopoeia. Okay, very good. Or maybe instead of using the onomatopoeia, I'll just say sound words. Okay, very good. I use subordinate clauses. Yep, excellent. I use adverbs. Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, so far I've used 5 of the strategies. Okay. Yeah. Now let me fit in one more strategy, A positives. Okay, so let me fit that in. Okay. Okay, impish. Impish doesn't mean evil. It just means like really mischievous and naughty looking, all right? Yeah, that's what it means. Okay, good. Now take a look. Can you catch where the strategies are? Yeah, impish means naughty. That's right. Good. Okay, now, Georgina, can you see where the A positive is? Just now you spotted an A positive, you thought it was an A positive. Thought text, very good, right? It's her, I thought to myself furiously. Just wait until I get you, right? So this entire section here is actually a thought tag, okay? Wonderful. Do you find that it's quite effective in making you look into my mind as I'm thinking? Yeah, it's quite good, right? Did you also see the... Yeah, that's right. It's covered gooey and smelly with egg yolk. So this entire section here, this is actually my... Oops, wrong. It's too dark. This is actually my A positive. Okay, so A positive. I'm just going to mark the color so you all can see. Thought text is this bright blue color. Show not tell is the yellow color. Sound words is that really orangey hue. Subordinate clauses are green in color. Adverbs are kind of like a reddish color that I chose just now. Hoping I can change it, okay. And dialogue is kind of red. Okay, right. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Yeah, you can replace gooey with slimy, but I didn't use slimy because I used it earlier on, right? I felt something slimy oozing down my arm. So, like Megan mentioned earlier, I don't want to repeat it, okay? Thought text, wonderful, thank you. You guys have got it, okay? Yes, I'm going to end the video very soon, okay? In fact, I'm going to end it like round about now, okay? So, oops, sorry. Let me just close this. I don't know why it opened. Okay. Yes, I'm finishing. All right. Thank you all for your attention. I will save this video, edit it, and I will post it on Edmodo. Just remember, I didn't use all 9. I used 7 of the strategies out of 9. I don't have to use all of them, but yeah, you can see that just in 2 paragraphs, I've managed to use 7. So it's very possible for you to use all 9 in the entire composition if you wish. Thank you for your compliments, everyone. If you find it helpful, remember, share it, tune in, and I'll tell you guys when the next video will be. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night. Rest well. Okay, those of you who want to stay, you can still stay. All right? Yeah, that's the spirit. Okay, that's the aim. Okay, bye. Bye, everyone. Okay, any questions, please let me know. Bye. See you guys. Good night. Good night. All right, I'll let you guys know when the next stream is going to be. I'm glad you found it helpful. Please let me know if there's any area for improvement, okay? Bye. See you guys. Bye. Hippo says bye. 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 It's Mr. Hippo, by the way. Bye.